The Golden Axe. Long ago, in a quiet valley surrounded by misty hills, there lived a young woodcutter named Elier. He was known throughout the nearby villages for his honesty and gentle heart. He never took more wood than he needed, and he always left seeds behind whenever he cut down an old tree so that the forest could grow again. Elier lived a simple life in a small wooden cabin beside the river. Every morning, he went into the forest with his old iron axe, the same one his father had used before him. Though it was dull and worn, it had never failed him. One summer morning, as the mist lifted from the water, Elier went down to the riverbank to chop wood. The sunlight sparkled across the rippling surface, and birds sang in the trees. But as he swung his axe to chop a log, his foot slipped on a wet stone. The axe flew from his hands and fell into the deep, rushing water. "Oh no," Elier cried, kneeling by the edge. That was all I had. He searched and searched, but the water was too deep and too fast. Finally, he sat down, his head in his hands. "What will I do now?" he whispered. Just then, the river began to glow with a soft golden light. The surface shimmered, and a gentle voice rose from the water. "Why do you weep, woodcutter?" Elier looked up in shock. Before him stood a tall, graceful figure, a woman made of water and light. Her hair flowed like the river itself, and her eyes shone like moonlight. "My axe fell into the river," Elier said, his voice trembling. "It wasn't worth much, but it was all I had." The spirit tilted her head thoughtfully. "Wait here," she said, and vanished beneath the surface. When she rose again, she held an axe unlike any Elier had ever seen. Its handle was carved from ivory, and its blade gleamed like pure gold. "Is this the axe you lost?" she asked. Elier shook his head. "No, that one isn't mine." The river spirit smiled faintly and disappeared once more. When she returned, she held another axe, this one shining like silver, its edge sharp and bright. "Then perhaps this is yours?" Again, Elier shook his head. "No, mine was old and iron, with a chipped handle. I'd never lie for treasure." The spirit's eyes softened. "Honest and kind," she murmured. Then, with a final swirl of light, she appeared once more, this time holding Elier's own axe, worn and rough but dry and whole. "This is mine," he cried with joy. "Thank you." The spirit smiled. "Because you spoke truthfully and kept your heart pure, I will give you all three." She placed the golden, the silver, and the iron axe before him. "But remember, true worth lies not in gold, but in goodness." Elier bowed deeply. "Then I will keep my old axe and return the others to you." The spirit looked surprised. "You would refuse a gift of gold?" Elier nodded. "If I keep what isn't mine, I might lose who I am." For a moment, the river was silent. Then the spirit's laughter filled the air like falling rain. "You are wiser than most," she said. "Keep the golden axe, not as treasure, but as a reminder that honesty shines brighter than gold." With that, she vanished, and the river returned to its calm, gentle flow. Elier carried the golden axe home, but he never used it to chop wood. He hung it above his fireplace, where the morning light made it glow softly. Whenever travelers visited his cabin and saw it, they asked where it came from. Elier would smile and say, "From the river, but not for taking, for telling the truth." Years passed, and people began to tell his story of the woodcutter who chose honesty over riches. And sometimes, when the river shone with strange golden ripples in the early dawn, the villagers would say the spirit was still watching, searching for hearts as pure as Elier's.